So now I'd like to turn to some of the questions that we've been getting from the audience. And I'm not surprised that there are a lot of questions about this idea of self-compassion. And so I would like to start, because many of the questions basically ask, why is self-compassion useful? And is self-compassion just like self-cherishing, which seems like something that could be harmful? And so I'd like to start this discussion with a little bit of a story about the history of self-compassion. So there was a young woman who was a student, a graduate student, studying science at UC Berkeley, named Kristen Neff. And she was feeling lots of stress, lots of anxiety. She was very busy. She was feeling very badly when she was not perfect. If her performance on an exam was not the best in the class, she was very angry with herself. And she believed that she would be happy if everything was perfect. She thought, if everything is perfect, I will be happy. And she was never happy, because you can't have everything perfect. And she is the one who thought, maybe it's not a good idea to be angry with myself when things are not perfect. And she thought, maybe the better thing is to be kind to myself and to understand that the real source of my happiness is not trying to be perfect, but the real source of my happiness is to understand the nature of suffering and to understand the causes of my happiness. And so when she describes self-compassion, she says it has 3 parts. One part is awareness of my thoughts. Another part is common humanity, an understanding that I suffer and I like happiness just like you suffer and you want happiness, just like every sentient being suffers and wants happiness. And the third part, I have to look, is understanding the inevitability of suffering and strengthening your ability to be kind. So I can be kind. I understand that I suffer and other people suffer, and I am aware of the things that make me suffer. So in some ways, self-compassion maybe is a bad name, because it makes it sound like cherishing of the self, but really it's a moment of inviting a different approach to happiness and understanding and embracing the understanding of suffering and the nature of suffering for all of humanity. So that's the story I have about self-compassion. But I'd also love to know what other people think about, and particularly the monastics, what you think about that way, or that story of self-compassion.
In our system, or in our tradition also, we talk about the importance of looking at the values of the self and the thoughts of our own. So when, for example, for me personally, when we have a debate, philosophical debate, and I fail to respond, make a proper response to the challenges, I feel bad. The reason why I feel bad, if we think about this, I think about it, then it's because of my self-grasping or the self-cherished attitude that I have. And the same as the one that is in the story, so all the problems are because of too much of self-cherish and self-grasping. And I think that there's no individual, no person who don't have a certain level of this self-grasping or the self-cherish thinking. So now it seems that even though you are using this self-compassion, so it may mean something else. You are talking about something else, but you are using a term that is not there in our vocabulary.
I agree.
Yes, thank you. That was a really good answer. I think what we're homing in on is the idea that the example of the student at Berkeley is that she was amplifying the meaning of one solitary failure, and it was beginning to be a defining characteristic of her entire life, her entire being. So definitely there was grasping for the meaning of this event as it relates to the self. And the self-compassion practices that we've derived in the West with the help of Jinpa perhaps allow us to see that this one moment is simply a moment, and it is not the defining moment of our life. And if we can tell ourselves, invite ourselves to be kind, and not to overstate the meaning of one event, then that is a way of letting go of the pain, the fangs this event has for us.
Tak karsana tangzu ta nyangji ta ga rangla nyangji gumse ti thola ta sikar yula kora ta te ngachina chita ngazu nyangji se di sana karsana ta nyangji la chita ramba mamu chi yora ta nyangji chembu se ro ta nyangji cheme se ro ni ta na shi chi tami te mayembi nyangji ta choso de mamu yora ta mamu ramba mamu chi yori ta inaya nyangji korong ngode ngazu kan di jago sana chita dungi ki narda vi simsin chi thonga na te dungi ta tena nyambi tin sewa chi la nyangji jago yora oda tini sonza rangla nyangji gumse de chita ta shira meya ro chire inaya sosu rangi ji kangi shoji thede kabla yang rangi la nyangji gomen ro ta tozo yang pachir mandre yukimar sanson ro ji teng dunga ta si chi na ra ni chita yang ji zong ji chi wa na nyangji ta se de ka phala lo wa na nyangji ta rangi lo na ngi jong se ro tin ro cha ro se ro tin ji song go ra ina yang ta koronzo ji rangi la nyangji gomni ta na se ni kangi thede ni mambu ji la phen ro go yori teni song ta ni ji nga zo na ba sang ji ji na nyangji se de dungi ki nar de wa ji la ni dungi ta tendu ku se wa tin ji la ja ko wa song za rangi la ni dungi ta tin ji kangi chim bu shu ji thede kabla ni rangi dungi ta tena nya bi ni ji gomba ta zo ya phakir ndu de wa ro ji thong du nga na sam ji na.
In Buddhism, when we talk about different types of compassions, and as I have mentioned before, like the great compassion and the limited compassion, and there can be other different types of compassions. And according to the sutra or the doctrines of the Buddhist philosophical traditions, in order to have compassion, you always need somebody who is suffering. So that means compassion always directed from yourself towards the other. But if you consider yourself as an object who is out there in the outside world, then you could say that this is compassion. The same kind of motivation from our point of view, if it is direct towards the others, then we call it compassion. But same kind of motivation or same kind of mental state, if it's directly towards yourself, we call it renunciation, not compassion. But so you could say self-compassion, something like that.
Ti rang chibu da rang debu yabu yunga tuanda la rang jinzin shu chimu shu je rang ke chi shu di cha mi yin di yawa to rang rintang chi shu di zi pa shu da rintang mi jo ji ni rang da ke chi shu di zi sha ba yin na ti rang kar su da dabu jo dang sen nam rang di yang dabu chi sego ya ma ri sang tu si rang ge di ji da ni rang yabu yunga za wa da pa shu yin la ting ni yung re si yin la pa ka zu rintang sha ba da yin la pa ka zu sang shi je ba yin na ni ku shu la rang shi ti rang la di chi yung sa ju yin za ni rang jing rang la di chi yung da rang la in da bu jo ya shu ji yung re sam du sti ti ga na ji ge rang ji ya bu ma yung da rang da bu jo ma tu du shu ti na lo ge sen na da ge nang dong da mo cha ge yo zo ti ka ma tu ne ni rang ge sin ju tu ne ni rang ka mo lo kin ji ni so sha ge yo re sti ya sa sha da ge su ma na du shu mo bu go ma de sen su ya du shu de ke chi shu de res现在生大不就对了，生让你拿到住嘛就呢，你要不搞土吧呢，你让大不就要的，让几不用要个头脑也学的，俺这里就这上都是。
I think in one of the presentations, you said that if you don't have compassion towards yourself, you won't have the ability to be compassionate towards others. When we talk about this way, in our tradition, we say that if you are compassionate towards others, you will be automatically happy. So in the process, the problem is that if you are paying too much attention, too much importance towards yourself at the first step, then you will not going to be happy as a result. But if you work for the happiness or think about the happiness of the others as a first step, then automatically as a result your happiness also comes from there. And just as I said before in the text, one of the texts of the great Buddhist scholar Shantideva, he says that all the happiness, it only comes from controlling your mind. That means controlling your thoughts.
So maybe there are 3 steps instead of 2. And if we think of self-compassion like you think of renunciation, that is first. And then, once you have that, you can dedicate time to meditation or inner awareness or controlling your thoughts, whatever practices you might need to do in order to extend compassion and then to be happy. So maybe 3 steps instead of 2.
Morang suye de gilan sense tanda dibjin. Taji ta kompani jiwa, ta de sum chana gila kurang tanda ningji de su ka lobi bena ngenjung chak res. Cheda dila sambal tangbungela ani ngenjung ske. Ngenjung de kebe ge gyumzen tene ani ningje da dende ta gomya ti che. Ningji gomya chala mebi ningji de gombe imbena dila tene ani susu digi tu gres ya ta rimba sum ktone shena disarves tanji rimba ni mi shimewa tangbungela ngenjung se gomba de mewa ta dende ro chasa de veles.
Ara dini discourse ni paru titis ngasha. Ninji rani la mebi ganlang France sonde ninji sinimara jagre ka jag mare se ji to dini discourse. ane dek tolang ara sanza shubina shir ninje se ade nganz chaba gar gon shegar labina miba number nim gon chegar wa ane miba de kandi chile mindu number de kandi chile re chandu ti techen ro miba de dunga chile mi number de dunga de da tayi tende chite number chi rendu na ta ngarang sanza chine ninje ro chi ja chog me ro sanza
딩고 일단 남비 유언은 틈바치 차고 왜냐면 미치데 인지 쇼 대다 쇼 통보라지 자토 멘로 선산다지 딩
So normally when we talk about something is compassion or not, we have to look into two characters according to Buddhist traditions. One is the object. Object means the object of your to whom you are compassionate about. So it has to be somebody who is suffering, somebody who has in problem. And then the second category or the second part is the nature of it. The nature means when you have this object who is object who is suffering, then the nature would be like you have this wish or the feeling that he may free from that kind of suffering. So if you have these two characteristics, then we call it a compassion. But the way you are describing, it can be kind of compassion also.
인주 세근데 뭐마 코란 슈바이나 ene rani koye dungele tarne ene tabe komba tawe de jig lojela nginju sigres nginju ngoma de res rang koye dunge thamjela thagores te thamjela thai tapasenum tende thamde jila nginju sigres nginju se ngoma de tindi injam ta rani karse boda nasa dawoda rang ji sente dawoda tindi kange jila thatap dela ene nginju selana nginju gu tunda tata de riga yamares ngeg samsu chena dagi shubanaji inter da chinzi cheba yana rang sensuwa tindi jilana ene kurang da tanda kos pobi jujatil tatan rabjires rang da chi cheba yana rang sensuwa tindi jilawi yana ko tatan rabre nginju selana hajang ta chimbu jires te ti tande kos pobi ene kanghe ti seya ge ti tunda la ene tilang nginju selaba ina nga tana ti tunda tatan rigu yamares.
And when we talk about renunciation, strictly speaking, renunciation means to have a thought or a wish of getting rid of all the sufferings related with the cyclic existence. So to get enlightenment. So just to have a physical comforts, just to have to wish to have temporary relief from physical and mental sufferings, that's not renunciation. And so if what we are thinking in this kind of a context is to just get rid of the temporary sufferings of others and yourself for a temporary period of time, then according to us, it's not renunciation.
I think the hope is longer term than just simply relieving temporary suffering. I think self-compassion has an aspiration for much wider understanding of the sources of suffering and the true sources of happiness. So I think there's more agreement than we understood before now. So thank you. Now I'd like to shift a little bit to a different question that many people asked about, which was this idea that there are specific treatments for specific problems. And when I hear the geshes speak, I hear the language of there's a precise antidote for each afflictive emotion. And so what I would like to say is maybe I will propose 3 kinds of afflictive emotion and 3 solutions, and then I want you to tell me what's right or wrong about my proposal. So I have jealousy, anger, hostility as one category of afflictive emotion, and I suggest that the antidote to that is practices which increase trust and common humanity. So your sense of trust with others and your sense of interdependence. The second category is sadness, deep sadness. And I suggest that an antidote for that are practices which increase gratitude and interdependence. So sense that other people are fundamentally part of our goodness in life. And then finally, the anxiety, worry, and fear, that category of afflictive emotions. Maybe the practices or the antidote is really mostly impermanence. this understanding analytically that everything that is troubling us is in fact temporary, and we can move beyond it. So that's my suggestion. I'd like to invite Marcel if he has any thoughts about those, and then also ask for your input around that.
Well, as Marcel thinks about that, I just want to make one small comment. You said in terms of the fear, anxiety, dread kinds of things that practice on impermanence, but also we have to practice impermanence for the things that are good in our lives and not cling to them as well. So it's a broader kind of practice in impermanence.
Any simzur ngemba rig dinzo las any nyembu gomchik digres ya dinde yungmares cheza ko mi manda yores su kam the mewa manda yores tigana shi any dela pawe ki any chikita chotab ki nyembu gumru nyemne zo manda gures tigana shi nganju ki shung nanglo la pecha shen tan doja da shedan timu dan teve ki simzur ngembe rig dinzo la and dida dinde re la su ki nyembu re ten shi yores cheza da dinde ke chele ro cheza da dinde sung cheza dinde sambal pesha chana nge ki ane dinde ke ane simzur ngembe rig sum shagins chik de khares la bena ane thakdo cheza ane thakdo ki nyembu di ane chikta ndo mi sangma ane chigyur yimbe ke ane rangshin lo de nyembu shagins tigana shi chik de ane dunge se di nyembu nge ke ane ta tender signore tenjung se di shagins ani shimba di ta ngangra se dir konzo ki anxiety se sto dila di nyembo di ani mitaba shagins cheza di shana di du mindu di zo le kiranzo samdu kari sungshos thagdo la ta ngazo mi sangma ji gyure samye lo dis wor thagdo nyembo mi sangma ji gyure se lo dis ro mi sangma ji gyure imbe lo dunge ge nyembo la tenjung tendel ani ngangra gi nyembola ani morak dilait mitaba
tachna de ta simsul ngemba te krala ta ri nyembuta chita ta namba sanji zona na da mamuju soyora pisana da ta nyumo ja tajaton she gore to samba simsure dori nyumo ja tajaton nyembula chi phon ja tajaton song la yora tin de soyore ta na je ya 아니 테마에 비슷한 다 샘술 멤버스나 지 녀몽아 로즈에 다 나바산 유치지에나 녀몽아 라고요. 다 샘술 멤버 되게 녀불라 시타 니치 녀불란로 기니 녀불란로 시타 mambu지요라. 다 이나야 따도 나바산 유이 종치바에나 따도 상마가다 사비 녀부 사와니 미야다 다기시탄 고두치에나 디 샘술 멤버 되게다 사와니 미야조요 마르세 안도 티니 로치 라고도다 띵어조 namba sanji yuzong chiwa yana sepsol ngai batake sawani ta mea zoe yori da te ta tinga zo munten san roji chan rogo ta ina yang cheta yang tedi yoa te karasena ta namba sanji yuzong se tikala cheta ya chimbu chira kuchi gine rambu chila chi tisum to ya chimbu chi ma chi yana tagaz ni chi sepsol te samba mea zoe yori sena yori sansun roji semla korea ta kabu chakira karasena ngazo yang chi keng chi te dila lomye chi manyong keng te diga mecha te ni roji la kachan ro ti ai na ta khorong pe khonru sa ushu do da te karare te samun roji ta ne mea ro chu zo da la wa na te mea zo yo mar te ngi shikari la ro ja ran shi ri da te mea zo yo mar gira yo mar se an ro te ni lengya chi yor ra ina ya ta te nawa sanji wi jong la tisum thonye te ja che bu chi yon di sana ni so su gu ju sem so ngai ba te chi sama mea zo te mea ina ya ale ta nawa sanji wi jong ni so wa na jin chi wa ina tazo muktsani mea zo eta yosari sama roji sosu la ishin roji teni roji pakir lean roji yorera o tischi ta tisashi chi goya chi tani ta morangati traga lin roji ena morangati chato go nyembu tela ta sama chibari se roji teni roji gomna kandi do roji la godo ta te chata gipi ji tela chi nyembu tes royan ro ta yongse pa chi ta chatan chi ena kaburi sam godora nyembu ta ngichi nyembu roji la en ba ena ta sama chibari la ro teni chi ga ni chi chato mea zo ete kabu chakra ta nga du chi ena chata jiseran se ajila ko ta jiseran de chato ko nyembu la ro ri la ko ta jiseran la ete kandri la ena ta mi chi yapun roji chwa ena ta kola teni yapu ji chonsa te yapu ri samata samar chi ora te jiseran la chi ta gya roji chi ena mila ta chi yonde kari chi chwa ena te yapun du sambaji te la ga go men roji ora te jiseran o te chi chato ko nyembu la ro roji teni chi songo yore 다시 당 저도 자니 지금 메아조의 그 니진이 문제라 도메토비 셰럽세야 송고요 때미아이나 가부차가요라 가부차가리 다이나야 지금 다시 총으로 따야다 데리러라 지세랑세야도 도도티스 펜토고요리 삼고도 다양 심지다시 지바리 사마라부터zo야 다시 지나 펜토고요 길이다 텐덴지다 하고 뭐야 니진이 문도 자니 메아조의 니진이 문텐들다 용아요 마르카보레 오타 텐디치 엔타세 심수르 마부지 어디잖아 지금 레레레가 님부테자야 되시다 내리자 골라야다 시다 가본로 주도라 이나야 nganchakra nganchak nyembu tela da chidang tereta chidang je dagji nyamji se ando tendi gomba ena ta ngatok tendi nyembu la show phengre samudro karsena ngadu dagji nyamji la te terawa rang dewa tang je ki dungui jewa shembala dungui chong dewa te ani ngala chona ngi dewa te ke samani simchin la mena samba tendi gata lotup simbuji tendi chila ani dagji nyamji la ko yorwa o tendi ge 그 로트브 셴부지 소소기라 키와이나 다 쟁그 둥이뜨게 참마 소소라 덩들린데 그 루텐디 지금 용거라 신 둥이기 나데와지 통데와이나 티 둥이뜨게 나라 존나 삼바로 텐디 포바 쳔부도 냐도 쳔부지 레디잖아 나톡세 안로데 파치르다 용거마로라 텐디 손자 더지 냠지세 안로 쳤다 상첩고 섬세 안로 도조 곰바이나 저 나톡 마요와도 졸라다 쇼펜토요리 삼고도라.
So when we talk about afflictive emotions and antidotes of these afflictive emotions, we talk about 84,000 afflictive emotions and 84,000 antidotes to these afflictive emotions. And we talk about antidotes to these afflictive emotions. We talk about direct antidotes and indirect antidotes. So each of these 84,000 afflictive emotions has its direct and indirect antidotes, and one antidote and one or more of these afflictive emotions can have common antidotes or the common indirect antidotes, or maybe multiple antidotes. For example, we talk about this jealousy. You said jealousy, and for us, and you said that the common understanding of the common humanity. So we can consider it as an indirect antidote. And from our tradition, when we talk about the antidote to the jealousy, we talk about something called, I think it's gratitude, Yesura, gratitude. And when somebody is doing something good, even if he has done so many bad things, if one good thing he has done, if you have this kind of feeling of gratitude of doing that one particular good thing, you may have less kind of jealousy, and it is indirect, what we call antidotes. And when we talk about the direct antidotes of jealousy and many other, I think all the afflictive emotions, we talk about something called Dhamma. I think it's the wisdom gained through the realization of the theory of concept of no self. So it's the ultimate the wisdom related with ultimate realization. And only this wisdom is the direct antidotes of these different types of afflictive emotions. And then I asked him, what is the antidotes of anxiety? And so he said that maybe it depends on what type of anxiety it is, and the mental disposition of the individual who is having this anxiety. So based on this kind of variabilities, we can have exchanging self with others, and also bodhicitta, maybe, you know.